Oh, good evening. Oh, God. This is Sir Turndown of the Land of Walt presenting to you the sponsor of today's video, Royal Match. Royal Match is a free-to-play match 3 puzzle game where you help this dude, the dashing King Robert, build and renovate his castle. It's ad-free, which honestly kind of rocks for a mobile game, and you can play it fully offline. With thousands of levels, tremendous rewards, and various events, Royal Match is the perfect way to give yourself the royal treatment. You can also join a team and work on cooperative events, and you can even compete for local and global championships if that's more your speed. There's a ton of variety and unique events and ways to progress your levels, so players can really get into the game, and since there's no ads, you can really sit down and relax without any distractions. If you're interested, you can download Royal Match for free now with the link in my description. The letters are all weird, so I ain't reading all that, but you can also just click the QR code that's been staring directly into the windows of your soul for the last 60 seconds. And full transparency, if you do end up downloading the game, Royal Match will literally send me money, and that's pretty cool and greatly appreciated since, you know, this isn't a real job. Hey, thanks again to Royal Match for supporting the channel, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Tally-ho! The year is 20XX. No items, Fox only, Final Destination. This Melee-derived meme has been a mainstay in competitive Smash for over a decade now, and for good reason. Through the Smash series, Fox has long remained one of the strongest characters of each title, with incredible speed on the ground, lightning-fast attacks, and a combo game that always seems to flow so naturally. He's been given the tools to succeed at the highest level through almost every iteration of Smash. But unlike Melee memes where Fox rules at every level of the game, Smash Ultimate Fox has been seemingly underrepresented compared to previous titles. Despite his ranking on the tier list, Fox is a character you don't expect to see all that much in top 8, besides Light or the occasional performance from Pasiriman. 2023 has been a wildly different beast for Fox though. With top tiers like Steve and Game & Watch becoming more and more popular, this would be the time that you would expect Fox to fall out of relevancy, but it's been quite the opposite. This has arguably been the character's best year since the game's release. That all has to do with an up-and-coming competitor from Japan that has been making an unexpected splash upon the competitive Smash community. The player that's set to take over the next generation of Japan Smash with a legend that was thought to be long lost. Kaninabe. Japan has always been known for their mastery of characters in every Smash title, seemingly being able to push any character into top 8 of a major no matter how the character is perceived by the general community. Characters like Steve, Sonic, and Min Min have become increasingly more common in Japan at all levels of play. Their consistent strengths and minimal variants make them great tournament characters, but lost in that evolution was a lot of Ultimate's faster-paced quote-unquote hype characters. It's more rare than ever that we see more than a single representative of many of the game's highest execution top tiers, Fox, Peach, Pikachu, etc. These characters tend to not fare off as well due to high amounts of maintenance required to play and how unforgiving they can be against a lot of the common cast in the meta if not played to their 100% potential. Though it may be hard, it doesn't mean being consistently successful with these characters is impossible. It was just going to take a special talent to elevate one of these characters to that level, and Kaninabe has been able to prove just that. Since his introduction into the competitive tournament scene in 2021, Kaninabe has looked to break this mold. Unlike his peers sinking their time into one of the many extremely strong Fighters Pass 2 characters, Kaninabe put his focus into Fox, a character seen as one of the strongest in the game but had never seen much representation within the country. His first event was the 128 entrant event Sumabato SP20 at the end of October. He ended up going 7-5, which is a remarkably funny stat line for all our 0-2ers out there, finishing 17th place overall, a great showcase for his first offline event. His attendance remained inconsistent over the next few months, mostly focusing on grinding the online ladder Smashmate. All of that grinding proved to be paying off though. Despite living in Kansai, one of the strongest regions in the world, the Fox began to find some sort of consistency. 2022 saw him break onto the scene as a name to watch out for, but his results were a bit all over the place at that point. He would have an incredible run, followed by a very average one, and this landed him at number 52 on 2022's Japan Orion ranking. 2023 is when we saw Kaninabe expand outside of his local Meisuma hit series and begin to consistently enter events like Kagaribi, Delta, and Kowloon to face off against some of Japan's other top competition. And while his results started off a bit shaky, we began to see Kaninabe find a place within Japan's competitive scene. We witnessed 13ths and 17ths turn into consistent single-digit placements, all while compiling wins on some of Japan's upper echelon, like Yoshidora, Hero, and Yaura. Kagaribi was a different beast though, and if we know anything about his past history, this one was going to be an uphill battle. At Kaninabe's 7 events he's attended with 512 entrants or more, he's only managed to crack into top 8 a single time. This run at Meisuma top 11 was incredibly impressive, but you were much more likely to catch Kaninabe ranking in the 33rd to 65th range at that point. While the past can be a great indication of the future, when we have a bubbling talent like this, it only takes one event to change the narrative forever. Kaninabe's weekend opened with relatively easy runs through pools, not dropping a single game between his 4 sets, and he easily secured a spot in winner's top 192. This wave of bracket kicked off with a 3-1 victory over Mahio, a DDD player that upset Takara in pools. The next opponent was one of Japan's top 5 players and the best Sora main in the world, Kaninabe. The two had never played before, but with Kaninabe historically having trouble against Fox and his roster having a particularly hard time with the character, this is the exact player Kaninabe wanted to see to try to find out how good he really was. Kaninabe ended up taking that set 3-1 over Kaninabe, which wasn't streamed unfortunately. This was a monumental win for him. Kaninabe is a top 15 ranked player in the world and one of Japan's most consistent competitors. Being able to add a player of that caliber to his ever-growing resume was huge for the Fox. Little did he know though, this would be the first name of many he would pick up over the course of the event. Waiting for Kaninabe was the best Sheik player in the world, AIM. This matchup is generally seen as one of Sheik's hardest among her player base. With the speed and frame data to keep up with Sheik alongside a stronger and more consistent punish game, it can be hard for even a great Sheik player to get momentum in this matchup, and Kaninabe took advantage. Immediately, Kaninabe pressured AIM into the right corner and killed him for it. Kaninabe was able to close out game 1 with a 2-stock, which resulted in AIM switching off Sheik for Joker. Now, the average player might assume that this would be a better pick, but Kaninabe seemed even more proficient in this matchup. AIM started off with the advantage, but after a deep edgeguard off stage, that was all Kaninabe needed to get heated up to the point where he seemed simply undefeatable. He managed to close out the game with yet another edgeguard, and I thought this character couldn't do this stuff. And the third and final game of the set was yet another blowout from Kaninabe on AIM Sheik. In similar fashion to Light, stock after stock, combo after combo, even an elite player like AIM couldn't keep up with this level of aggression. An up throw to up air, yeah, he even got that combo to work, is what sealed the set and advanced Kaninabe into the next round. Now in winner's quarters, there was one last hurdle to overcome before he could step foot into top 8. Shutone. Shutone has long been a slayer of Fox, with amazing records against both Light and Pasiriman through Ultimate's lifespan. His proficiency against the character was clear through the whole set, but what was even more clear was that Kaninabe had a point to prove against the Aegis. A precision behind Fox coupled with a bountiful amount of momentum picked up from the last 2 sets, and Shutone ended up with the surprise of a lifetime. In game 1, we saw a sizable lead from Shutone on last stock met with a masterclass in comboing with Fox, finishing this sequence with a nair to up smash conversion. With his veteran experience though, this was no big deal for Shutone. They ran it back to the same stage in the same matchup, and Shutone went on to 3-stock the Fox in convincing fashion. Something needed to change for Kaninabe. His reads weren't at the level of Light, and he was getting caught up for being greedy in advantage. He was going to have to be more conservative with how he was deciding to approach Shutone. And the results? Well, they're everything he could have expected and more. This here was the moment that could have changed the entire set. Shutone could have brought it to game 5 and used his nerves of steel to push through for a win like he's done so many times before. But to Kaninabe's fortune, it missed, and he didn't let the moment slip away. He narrowly avoided Shutone and returned back to stage where we saw him pull off a near perfect sequence against the Aegis, slowly but surely taking Shutone's resources before finishing it off with a drag down forward air spike. He had already topped his win on Kaninabe and was now sitting comfortably in the winner's side of top 8. Kaninabe was met with the fruits of his labor though, a fate every competitor in the country eventually has to face, having to play Akola to advance through winner's bracket. Steve is another notably rough matchup for Fox, but if Light had been able to do it before, Kaninabe knew it was possible right now. Game 1 showed why this matchup can be so difficult for Fox, as Akola took Kaninabe on a walk across the stage with a jab into a forward air spike to seal his first stock at 49%. Akola transferred that momentum into a 3-stock to close out the first game of the set. Kaninabe made some great adaptations, especially in game 3, but in the end, the set had finished the same way it started, and Kaninabe was now in loser's side. That whole set, we saw Kaninabe die consistently early, losing 4 of his stocks sub 100% through their 3 games, significantly more than we had seen in every other set of the event. When we saw Light beat Akola over a year ago, he managed to only lose 3 stocks sub 100 through the 5-game set. Akola is clearly a different beast now, but with how well Kaninabe did end up doing, it's fair to say that if he's able to avoid these low percentage setups, we could see this Fox do significantly better in their next matchup. But either way, after that loss to Akola, Kaninabe was now in the loser side of bracket and was going to have have to fight yet another one of Japan's titans, Yoshidora. Kaninabe had defeated Yoshidora in their first ever encounter, but the online legend and number 10 player in the world had been on an equally great run through the loser side of bracket. One of these two was going to have to go home. Yoshidora effortlessly danced around Kaninabe through the first game, and the Fox struggled to adapt. He deleted the first two stocks with a pair of great confirms, but all it took was an up smash read for Kaninabe to find his footing. His understanding of Yoshidora's disadvantage seemed to have increased exponentially through the game as he went on to put the Yoshi in multiple vortex situations. Yoshidora ended up closing out that game, but that one sequence gave this Fox the confidence he was gonna need to bring this set back. The second game was the polar opposite of the first, with Kaninabe going up with a sizable lead this time around. His advantage state is where we saw the biggest adjustments. That offense was spearheaded with his movement rather than attacking, pressuring Yoshi's space with the threat of approaching rather than actually approaching in every situation. These adjustments paid off huge as he ended the game with a nair to drill up smash confirmed, tying the set up at 1 game apiece. This Fox's hyperspeed tempo was clear throughout game 3, closing out the first of the stocks swiftly. He was all over Yoshidora. In a position to close out the game, Kaninabe's anticipation on a tech read proved him wrong and the game began to slip away before his eyes. A nair to up smash narrowly didn't kill Yoshidora, then another up smash read was tanked by Yoshi's double jump super armor. Clawing his way back from the depths, Yoshidora set up a jab lock to send Fox off stage and finished the job off with a fair 2-frame spike. Kaninabe had given it everything he had in that previous game. He continued to fight hard through game 4, but the combination of his nerves and Yoshidora's on-hit game against Fox led to this game plan crumbling. This was far from the Kaninabe we had seen through every other set of the event. He seemed a little scared. Yoshidora eventually closed the game out with a forward throw at the ledge, sending the 37th seed Kaninabe home at 5th place. It might have not ended the way Kaninabe wanted it to, but with by far his greatest performance of all time, this is potentially the birth of a new non-DLC star in the land of the rising sun. That level of speed and confidence we saw from Kaninabe's Fox is matched only by Light, and with his second place at Rewired Fest over the same week, it's safe to say Fox is in pretty good hands. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the content, and thank you again to Jazara for putting all these together. Special thanks to our top tier patrons Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Dorian, Eric is Cool, Juniper, NNG Esports, Storm, and Tingly Jungle for supporting the channel. Please watch something else now.